The lavender scent of her new bath bombs filled the air, a sickly sweet aroma that now churned my stomach. Lisa, my wife of 10 years, emerged from the bathroom wrapped in a fluffy white robe, a smug smile plastered on her face. "Our day was amazing," she sighed, stretching her arms dramatically. "Just what the girls and I needed." I forced a smile. The girls, I knew, were a carefully constructed lie. I'd installed a GPS tracker on her car a week ago, a creeping suspicion solidifying into cold, hard certainty with each passing day. My gut had been twisting, a knot of unease tightening with every secretive phone call, every whispered conversation she thought I couldn't hear. The late nights at book club, the sudden interest in fitness, all pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve, but couldn't ignore. "Sounds relaxing," I managed, picking up the remote and turning up the volume on the baseball game. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it. "Oh, and Valentina said to tell you hi," Lisa added casually, applying lotion to her arms. Valentina, my supposed best friend's wife. The one who always had a knowing glint in her eyes whenever Lisa and I were around. The one who always seemed a little too eager to touch my arm, to linger a little too long in conversation. "That's nice," I said, my voice flat. My hand trembled as I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. "Actually, speaking of Valentina, I was wondering if you could explain something." I opened the GPS tracking app, the bright blue line tracing Lisa's route for the day displayed on the screen. It snaked its way not to the Serenity Spa, as she'd claimed, but to the secluded lakeside motel, a notorious rendezvous spot just outside of town. Lisa's face paled. The smug smile vanished, replaced by a look of pure horror. The blood drained from her cheeks as she stared at the phone, her eyes wide with disbelief. She opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out. She swayed, clutching the edge of the vanity for support before collapsing onto the bathroom floor in a dead faint. I stood there, frozen, the remote still clutched in my hand. The baseball game droned on, oblivious to the devastation unfolding in my own home. Part of me wanted to rush to her side, to help her, but another part, a colder, harder part, felt a grim satisfaction. The truth was out. When she finally came to, it was with a whimper. I helped her onto the bed, the silence in the room thick with unspoken accusations. "It's not what it looks like," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. The classic line. I didn't interrupt. I wanted to hear the lie, to see how far she'd go. I met Valentina there too, to talk," she continued, her eyes darting around the room, avoiding my gaze. About you." The audacity of the lie fueled my anger. "About me," I repeated, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "What exactly were you discussing at the lakeside motel that couldn't be discussed over coffee?" She didn't answer. Tears streamed down her face, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of self-pity, of a carefully constructed world crumbling around her. "Who were you with, Lisa?" I asked, my voice low and steady. Her silence was confirmation enough. I knew it was Kaleb, my so-called best friend. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. "Kaleb," I said, the name a bitter taste in my mouth. "You were with Kaleb." She finally looked at me, her eyes filled with fear. "Please, David," she begged. "Don't tell anyone. It was a mistake. A mistake. 10 years of marriage, of trust, of shared dreams, reduced to a mistake." "A mistake," I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around behind my back, betraying my trust, and you call it a mistake." The next few days were a blur of anger, hurt, and disbelief. I confronted Kaleb, the confrontation explosive and violent. The carefully constructed facade of friendship shattered in an instant, replaced by raw animosity. His denials were weak, his excuses pathetic. He was a coward, just like Lisa. The news spread like wildfire. Our friends, our families, everyone we knew, were shocked and disgusted. Lisa became a pariah, the whispers following her everywhere she went. Kaleb's wife, Valentina, devastated by the betrayal, filed for divorce immediately. Their perfect little world, built on lies and deceit, came crashing down around them. Lisa pleaded with me to stay, to work things out, but the damage was irreparable. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I couldn't look at her without seeing the lies, the betrayal, the motel room. I moved out, leaving her to face the consequences of her actions alone. The divorce was messy, painful, and protracted. Lisa fought me every step of the way, trying to salvage what she could from the wreckage of our lives. But I was resolute. I wouldn't let her get away with it. I wouldn't let her destroy me. The finality of the divorce decree was a strange mix of relief and sadness. A chapter of my life had closed, a chapter filled with both joy and heartbreak. I was free, but I was also alone. I started rebuilding my life, piece by piece. I found a new apartment, a new job, new friends. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to move on, to create a future for myself, a future free from the lies and betrayal that had defined my past. One day, months later, I saw Lisa at the grocery store. She looked thinner, her eyes dull and lifeless. The vibrant, confident woman I had once loved was gone, replaced by a shell of her former self. She tried to catch my eye, to say something, but I turned away, unable to face the ghost of our past. I walked out of the store, the California sun warm on my face. The lavender scent of her bath bombs no longer haunted me. The knot in my stomach had finally untied. I was finally free. The revenge wasn't a grand, theatrical gesture, but the slow, agonizing burn of their lives falling apart while I pieced mine back together. It was the quiet satisfaction of knowing that while they were drowning in the consequences of their choices, I was learning to swim again. And that, in the end, was the most satisfying revenge of all.